43. Yep.
Yep. So we're on John 1, verse 43. The next day, Jesus decided to go to Galilee, and he found Philip and said to him, "Follow me." Now Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him of whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." Nathanael said to him, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Philip said to him, "Come and see." Jesus saw Nathanael coming to him and said of him, "Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom there is no guile." Nathanael said to him, "How do you know me?" Jesus answered him, "Before Philip called you, when you were under a fig tree, I saw you." Nathanael answered him, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God." Now, that's a pretty amazing statement, right? And I think, what's that?
Guile.
So so that actually is a reference back to Isaac. There's no deceit, right? That's kind of and actually it's kind of actually Israel, he was very deceitful and getting the blessing that, Esau was supposed to have and everything else. So there's irony. And so we don't pick this up, but there's so much humor and irony, and it's such a good, it's like in life, you see, we joke about things and things, this is how this is written, and we often miss it. But what's amazing, I did see part of The Chosen where they have this particular verse about him under the fig tree. And he's under the fig tree, and he has a revelation. Nathanael's under the fig tree, and he feels like God is coming to him, or he has some kind of a revelation. And so that's why it's so important. There's something that's important. That he had this foreknowledge. He had a foreknowledge. It may not have been like it was shown, that's kind of a dramatic interpretation. But he was praying under a fig tree, and God came to him. He had just, and God, at certain points in time, God, sometimes you'll feel closer to God, or he had a revelation. Well, Jesus knew that he was praying there under the fig tree. And he said, before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you. And so his reaction is just, "You're the Son of God." No one could have known this. This is amazing. Because how would you know? Let's say, Charlie, while you were in the rotunda before Dennis saw you, I called you. This kind of thing where it's like, how would he know this? He never met this person. How would he know that he was sitting and praying underneath the fig tree at that point? And so that's kind of amazing, is that you have that. Or how would you know? It's only something that there was a revelation here, something that's not known by a natural, and so he had this revelation, but it's pretty astonishing, his reaction to it.
But then, so he said that way before Peter did, right?
He said before Philip.
But doesn't Peter say, "You are the Christ, the Son of God," when Jesus asked the apostles, "Who do you say that I am?" Right?
Right.
He's the king of giving Peter and all that, right? But wasn't this before that?
Yeah, this was way before that.
So Nathanael said it first.
Yeah, Nathanael did say it first. He said, "You're the Son of God."
Credit for that.
Well, Peter got credit because he said, "God, you didn't get this of man. You got this from God. God gave you this revelation."
Yeah, God
Yeah,
gave this revelation.
he did. Yeah, you're right, though. Nathanael said it first.
Nathanael said it first.
He did have this recognition.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. "You are the King of Israel." Jesus answered him, "Because I said I saw you under the fig tree, you believe? You shall see greater things than these." And he said to him, "Truly, truly, I say to you, you will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man." And this is kind of a reference to the
Jacob's ladder.
Yeah, Jacob's ladder. And so there's all kinds of references here about different things. So God can work our healthy skepticism and search for truth as Jesus is the way, the truth, and life. So he can take even this healthy skepticism that Nathaniel had, right? And Thomas had it. We read about that in the gospel earlier. He can work with that, right? People that, because we're just being human, right? We want to, our faith and reason aren't opposed to each other. He doesn't want blind faith, right? And I think that's where people, our reason and our faith, St. Augustine taught on this a lot. He has series on the city of God, but his faith and reason, God appeals to our faith and our reason. Because why? He wants us to love him with all of our heart, mind, and soul. Mind too, though, right? So he wants our reason. And he gives us, when we, and we're going to be like the people who make that decision. Before we build a house, we make sure we have all the proper materials. Before we go to the war with 10,000, we make sure we got enough soldiers to fight. He wants us to use our reason and say, this is the logical course, is to become a Christian. Because why? Because it is the way, the truth, and the life. All other paths lead to destruction except for this path. This is the path. And that's where, having searched myself, I can say this, the reason of Christianity, the proofs, even the historical basis of Jesus points to it. And that's in itself is amazing. And so not just on our blind faith, but even our minds should pull us to Christ. And so now in chapter 2, the marriage at Cana. On the third day, there was a marriage at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus also was invited to the marriage with his disciples. When the wine failed, the mother of Jesus said to them, God bless you, they have no wine.
The mother of Jesus said to him,
God bless you. No, the mother of Jesus said, they have no wine. And Jesus said to her, O woman, what have you to do with me? My hour has not yet come. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. So a little bit of background. So there's a marriage, and a marriage in Jewish tradition was a big feast. It was a 7-8 day feast where they just had huge party. We're going to see they had 120 gallons of wine. That's a lot of wine. What's a fifth? How many fifths are in a gallon? 4, maybe 5. I don't know. Maybe is it a fifth of a gallon? I don't know, but it's a lot. So 100 times 120. So 600 bottles of wine, we'll say. 600 bottles of wine on the wall. There's a lot of wine there that they have. And it was a big party for a long time. And the fact that the wine failed is a big problem. A big problem, because that's an embarrassment to the groom and the bride. Because everybody came there to have, you always had enough wine for the whole party. And so that's where this comes in. And Mary, she intercedes for this couple, right?
But did she know that she was going to ask God to make wine out of water?
What did Mary say? Do whatever he says.
Right, but she says here, she went to him and told him about the wine.
Because she knows he's the Son of God.
Okay.
She knows he has miraculous
He
powers.
wasn't part of the responsibles. He was just a guy on the side that his mother went up to and asked for wine.
No. So she went. She was at the wedding, and she understood that yes, they have no more wine.
Right.
There's a problem. There was a problem, and Mary knew the solution. The solution was Jesus.
So she knew what he was going to do.
She probably did.
Wow.
he could do.
She knew what he could do.
Right, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
Right
she
there.
knew his potential.
What
Right.
did she know?
Right. Mary, did you know? There's a song about
Yeah.
that. That's a good song, actually, if you ever haven't heard it. But they have no wine. So she just goes to him and states the fact. And Jesus knows as soon as he does this public miracle, it leads right to the cross.
The clock starts ticking.
The clock starts then and there. And, oh, woman, what have you do with me? My hour is not yet come. And what does she do? She's interceding. And we go to Mary. This is the point where there's this, and in the fourth gospel, they don't mention her by name. They just woman, right? And there's a really good, if you look at 2:4 of this probably 300 words, and it goes through all the different aspects of it. It was a title of respect and endearment and antiquity. Also, it mentions Genesis 3. It's a reverse image of the Canaan episode, as Eve prompted Adam to defy the Lord and drag the human family into sin. So Mary prompts Jesus, the new Adam, to initiate his mission of salvation. So it's what it's doing is she's the new Eve. She's reversing the sins of Adam. I mean, this is amazing. All this is in here, where woman, this is all kind of, this is the woman that was mentioned in Genesis. And that's why, even
She
the,
knew this was starting his.
she knew this was starting his path.
Tough for her too,
Yep,
because she knew exactly what she was doing.
yep.
Well, she was pushed by by God to tell the Lord. I mean, right? That's probably the deal.
Right, so
That's crazy.
the description of Mary even refers, so when Yahweh speaks of the woman whose son will trample the devil underfoot, and this is mentioned in the Catechism, what have you do to me? It's typically presumes some kind of tension between two parties, but not always. When the idiom is used in response to a person's request, the speaker sometimes capitulates to the expressed will of the other and sometimes not. And so Mary herself appears perfectly confident that Jesus will respond favorably to her petition. We go to Mary, and she's going to put her petition before her son. And we don't understand this, but King David, who was the queen mother, not his wife, but his mother. I mean, the mother was the queen. So that's what people don't understand, is that the queen. So when King Solomon was there, it was Bathsheba, it was the queen mother. And so the mother of the king usually stood on the right side. And so what does she do? She says, do whatever he tells you. And that's what she's telling us now, right? Do whatever he tells you. We go to Mary and she's going to say what? Do whatever he tells you. What is he telling you? We're reading all about what he's telling you. Now, 6 stone jars were standing for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. I like to think 30.
Yeah.
So 180 gallons. That sounds even better. That's a wedding. Yeah. Jesus said to them, fill the jars with water, and they filled them up to the brim. He said to them, now draw some out and take it to the steward at the feast. So they took it. When the steward at the feast tasted the water now become wine, and did not know where it came from, though the servants knew. So the servants got the water, and they bring it over to the guy who's testing the wine, the wine sommelier. So he's an expert on wine. He knew all about wine. And they had to have been snickering like, oh yeah, we're giving him water. Let's wait to see what he says about this. And he said, every man serves the good wine first. And when the men have drunk freely, when they're crocked, basically, then they give them the poor wine. So they give them the stuff that tastes like water, garbage. But you have kept the good wine until now. Of course, that would have been very, very good wine. This, the first of the signs Jesus did at Cana in Galilee, and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. And so this started the clock. At this point, this is when the clock starts. Mary's there at the beginning and at the end. At the beginning of his public ministry, and then at the end when he's standing at the foot of the cross. And so we have her at both places. But look at the humor. I mean, John, the way he tells it, I mean, I can imagine bringing the water. I mean, I would have been one of the guys like, oh yeah, let's give this to the sommelier and see what he has to say about this. Here, try this. How's this wine? Isn't that good? And so they bring it up to him, and he's like, this is amazing. Because the wine made by Jesus would have been the best wine ever. And just like those fishes and those loaves they would have been the best tasting bread you would have ever had, the best fish, perfect, and the best wine. I would have liked to taste that wine, right? It would have been the best wine.
You have tasted it, haven't you? I made it for you.
I don't know, Sam. Your wine was good, but I think Jesus would have been a little better. God's wine would have been a little better, I think. It was actually a lot better. But
Oh, yeah.
Remember there too is with any mother, I know I do it with my son, you say something to him and the son's always like, yeah, whatever, but then do whatever he said, and the son doesn't, you know.
Right.
He might complain a little bit, but he says it's not my hour. You ride right over there, you say, just do what he says.
Do whatever he
You know
says.
he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it.
Yeah, he's an obedient Jewish boy.
Yeah.
And she, you know, it's just seeing the interplay. And remember here, the one thing we got to remember is that John, this is the same John who was at the foot of the cross, and Jesus said, "Woman, behold your son. Son, behold your mother." And from that day, John took Mary into his home. And Mary was with him until the day she was died and was assumed into heaven. And so we got to